Ascension symptoms. February 9th, super new moon. Huge. How was it? How was the super new moon on February 9th? This last February 9th, 2024. How was it? Did you feel your feelings more intensified? Was there an increase of sensitivity? Was the intensity pretty intense? Yeah. And that typically tends to happen. Intensities tends to happen. Ripping that part out. So that does tend to happen during moon phases, especially supermoons, eclipses, and full moons. And I'm going to go ahead and regurgitate some of the information that I watched on a great video about February 9th. Super new moon from Victor Odo. He has a great YouTube channel. And part of this with the moon phases is I have always noticed during, especially full moons, what I like to look at is you have the sky is dark. And what you have with all this dark sky is you have this one light, which is the moon, and it's shining. It's shining on the darkness. So during these phases, you may have an increase of sensitivity within your emotions, things from your past coming up that you're now dealing with that you thought you dealt with. That's all of a sudden, where the heck is it coming from? That's because there's an increase of sensitivity. And it's time to go ahead and purge some of these events out of our lives, whether if it's people, places, or things. Now, the main part I want to regurgitate from Victor's video is he mentioned he had a friend who also looks at it this way, is during these moon phases that essentially it's like having a garage and you have this little like peephole that you're like looking through the garage, right? And there's like barely any lights in the garage. Now, I may not be regurgitating this 100%. Well, what's happening is you're looking through this little peephole through your garage, right? And there's like not very much light, and things are looking all nice, pretty clean in there, nothing too crazy. It's a little dim, right? And then all of a sudden the lights get shifted on as you're looking through this peephole, and now you're seeing all sorts of stuff. There's messes everywhere. There's spider webs here, cobwebs there, oil spill over here on the ground. Somebody's gonna slip on that. That's what it's like when all of a sudden the lights are turned on the darkness. It's like there's all these messes here in our lives that we haven't cleaned up yet. So that's the whole point of these moon phases, is having the ability to feel our emotions way more intensified so we can go right ahead and clean up these areas in our lives. People, places, or things may no longer be in alignment with us, and that's good. That's really good. And I know for me, the last few days, last 3 days leading up to today, I feel so much better today. And today is the 9th. However, though, like all of a sudden, I'm finding myself digging in to a situation that I have with a friend that it's not even a situation, but all of a sudden the other night it became a situation. And I'm like wondering what the heck is going on. And I had to find out this was because this friend of mine, beautiful soul, just so kind. There's a similar situation that I thought I was okay with. And it's not jealousy that's coming into play. Loyalty, maybe a little. I will be having a conversation with him, though, about how I feel. And originally, I thought I may have to give him, like, an ultimatum. And it's not an ultimatum situation. I just started seeing, like, our values may not be the same. And this is just not the type of energy I want to be in anymore in my life. And then I realized he's not doing anything towards me that's harming me or hurting me in any way. And why would I have a falling out with this person just because of that? we're already pretty distant, and when we get together, it's like there no time has passed. So it's all love and unconditional love within that friendship. So the situation that happened, I'm gonna go ahead and briefly explain. I used to have this group of people who used to be my friends, who lied to me, gaslit me, manipulated me, and at one point were harassing me. And on top of that, harmed me in ways that weren't physical. This group of people also did this to other people in their friend group, friends that they've had for a very long time. They manipulated, they lied about, because the stuff they told me about these people never actually added up. They would tell me these negative stories, and I'm wondering, like, I've never seen them act in this type of behavior. So they may be a little bit of, having narcissistic tendencies or whatever. And it's funny because this friend that I want to have the conversation with also sees it. He actually is the one that mentioned it to me specifically with a few people. He's like, yeah, I've never seen them act this way, the way they speak about them. So I guess my thing that's coming up is, like, why are you still friends with them if you know that they're capable of harming others and me, like your long-term friend? Like, why are you still putting your energy there? I've been okay with it. Like, I don't mind. Like, that's fine. It's not even been a big deal. Like, it's just like, whatever. Like, he mentioned hanging out with them once, and I'm like, all right, cool. Like, I don't really want to hear about it. like my point is, though, it's like, one, it's like, why are you putting yourself in a situation where people that have done this to others can do this to you? And my main focus is, he had a similar situation where he had a friend who was also my friend. We had amazing times up until, like, the falling out of the situation between them, because he was also his landlord. He ended up, like, not paying my friend rent for months, harming him financially, lying to him. And then besides me, like, I never caught any wind of him saying, like, bad things about my friend. So later on, once I found out, towards the end of it, and the whole situation kind of building up to the end, I chose not to be friends with that person anymore because of how he treated my friend. Because, one, that person was negative, manipulative, draining, and is willing to harm others to get his needs met. And I'm like, why would I want to be around that, first of all? And second, like, you hurt my friend in this way. Like, people can choose where they want to be. I don't want to be around energy that's going to be harmful. So I'm choosing that for sure for myself. And I used to have a lot of people-pleasing tendencies. And that's why I stuck around certain people and places or things. And I realized the people that I was around that had a lot of these narcissistic traits stemmed from my dad, like from the abuse that I had, that I hadn't forgiven my dad yet. And what's funny is, like, once I started forgiving my dad, these people started acting up in this way. Like, all of a sudden, things started turning. I started seeing things a little bit more clearly. And that's when this divine storm kicked in, where it was like, it's time for me to go. Like, it's no longer what I thought it was, which is great. And my life has never been better since. I've never felt better. So with that is, with forgiving others, all of a sudden the people that are in your life, especially from people in your past, like from huge trauma from childhood or that you've been holding on to, are gonna start disappearing also, because you're getting a reflection of what's active in your vibration almost at all times. And that friend that I'm gonna have the conversation with about this is, he used to ask, and he's asked me this question. He's like, why do I always attract broken people? Is what he asked. I never knew the answer. I always wondered too, because he's just such a kind, loving person, and he gave a lot, especially when had financial abundance. He would just give and give, and or when he has financial abundance, he gives. So the other part is, I realize at a deep core fundamental level now that maybe he thinks he's broken, and that's why he attracted broken people. And it's funny for me to watch or hear from him saying that he's still hanging out with these type of people. So it's like, why? After you already know what they did to me, done to others, and like you're still putting yourself in that situation, like why? Like, why are you still attracted to that situation? And this is the conversation I'm going to be having with them. So my point is, though, is like, it was so intensified, the feeling of me all of a sudden wondering, like, why, like, originally it was like, you're not being loyal, but it's like, it's not that. And I'm not jealous. Like, if it was just some normal falling out, like, oh, me and this person don't get along, like, I don't care. Hang out with them as much as you want. Like, that doesn't matter. Except it was a little different. And it's like, I'm actually also concerned about him. But all of a sudden, like, this part, like, I thought I was just okay with it. And then all of a sudden it kicked in, like, out of nowhere, these thoughts started coming in my head. And I finally realized the part that was bothering me, which was the things I had just mentioned. Because originally I was like, oh yeah, do you? I know you're a social butterfly. Social butterfly. Do your thing. Like, I was okay with it. And then there was this little part that I just kind of put in the back of my head, which I didn't express. And then now, because I've also have grown to be way more vulnerable, and ready to do it. So, and I also had to look back and dig that out. So that feeling was intensified. And the first day, 3 days ago, it was so intense that I was like, this is going to be that ultimatum situation where it's like, I got to let him know, like, I don't want to be around this energy. Like, I'm going to have to, see you less than I already do. So, and then 2 days ago, I was like, wait a minute, that's not actually what I want. Like, I'm okay either way. I do want to let him know my feelings. So being vulnerable and opening up, this is leading me to more of that. And I think it's quite amazing, the intensity. And the best part is, through this intensity and all these feelings, I knew the whole time, like, something is being intensified. I'm going through this, and I know it's going to benefit me regardless. And I know also on top of that, the people that I've been around, like, nobody ever wakes up thinking they're going to be manipulative. Nobody ever wakes up like, oh, I'm going to go ahead and be manipulative today, manipulate. Like, nobody ever does that. People are always doing things out of the unconscious behavior. That's not their true divine self. And they're doing it from a place of wanting to get their needs met. They're doing it because that's the only way they know how to get their needs met. And a lot of times, it could also be like their own self-worth or their own value. They don't believe that they're worthy on their own to ask for something, that they have to create a situation to get it anyway and manipulate the surrounding, replaying unconscious behavior because it's not their true divine self. And that makes forgiving so much easier. When you get to forgive, give it a new meaning. Anyway, I'm rambling a little bit, getting a little off topic. My point is, though, during this time, that was my story of my experience, something that just came up. And then for 2 days, I was for an hour each day, kind of hyper focused on it. And finally I broke through and realized oh, I don't want to actually terminate my friendship with this person. I do want to have the conversation about how I'm feeling about it, and I'll let him make his own decisions. So, but there was my oil spill. There was an oil spill there, and I feel like I was carrying around a 20-pound weight that just I just dropped off out of somewhere, out of nowhere. I feel even more energized than ever. So, yes, these moon phases are gonna shed light on areas that you have suppressed, forced the feeling away, and didn't fully allow it to come up and release. And maybe because you just didn't know how to, or maybe you weren't ready, or maybe you couldn't figure out a way to let it go, and now you're ready. So when you're feeling these intense feelings, it's okay. You're not the only one. Tons of people are doing that, going through this. And if you're ever wondering why it's always during these moon phases, that's why. So be kind to yourself during these times. Don't be too hard on yourself. that you're experiencing increased sensitivity or emotions, and that's a good thing. Okay? So, yeah, much love. Oh, also, I looked up, because it is February 9th, new supermoon. And I did look this up real quick, and it says, finally, there will be a new moon in February 2024, which will be a super new moon in the sign of Aquarius, the age of Aquarius, baby. So this also says this is closer to the Earth than a normal new moon, and therefore particularly powerful. All right. And the other night, it was like 3, 4, 5 days ago, I had this dream where I was looking outside of a car window, and all of a sudden the moon was so big, like huge, and it was like right close to the Earth, and I'm just like looking at it in awe, and I'm like, whoa. And then I woke up. So signs of this super new moon. Okay, back to the video. Also, one more thing. During this time, I experienced the most intense neck tension I've ever had. All right, like my whole neck has been like kinked up, and every time I go like move it, you just hear like a crack, like to like a tension headache. Now, I'm not a medical professional, and I strongly suggest that you see your doctor if you're having any symptoms of anything at all. However, though, what I've also noticed is during these types of phases is anything that is stored trauma or anything that's coming up to light, you start feeling these sensations in your body, and they're pretty intense as well. So a lot of the times they're called ascension symptoms. Okay? And finally today, that neck pain is gone. Like, woke up finally feeling great. And it's not because I've been sleeping weird the last few days. I have a very nice neck pillow, specifically to keep my neck, like, nice and comfy. So yeah, ascension symptoms. Now, either back to the video, or I'm going to end with love and light vibration out. All right, back to the video. Love and light vibration out. Okay, bye. Love and light vibration out.